Timmy was a 16-year-old boy who was deeply addicted to Geometry Dash. He had spent years playing the game, completing new demons, making levels, and achieving all the achievements. One day he was working on a new level. The level consisted of only 2 spikes and nothing else. Timmy thought that this simple level might revolutionize Geometry Dash because he believed that all new levels were too complicated. He believed that a simple level with only 2 spikes could change the landscape. He published the level, but nobody particularly liked it. It only received 1 comment from a Muhammad Jakalam bot. However, Timmy understood that it didn't matter how many people saw his level. What mattered was who saw it. So he wrote a message to RobTop through Geometry Dash's message system. He asked RobTop to rate his level because he believed he deserved it. After writing his message, Timmy went to sleep. Upon waking up and checking his Geometry Dash inbox, he saw that RobTop surprisingly responded. Timmy was thrilled. Not many get to talk to this war criminal. Timmy quickly opened the message to see what RobTop said. In the message, RobTop tells Timmy to meet him at his military complex in the middle of nowhere so that they could properly discuss the possibilities of Timmy's level being verified. Timmy was confused at first. Why would they need to meet up to discuss a digital level? Timmy was suspicious, but eventually just ignored all the red flags. I mean, this is RobTop Games, the only person that can verify his dogshit level. If he wants his level to be verified, he better do whatever RobTop says. So, Timmy agreed. As Timmy walked along the dirt road in the middle of the night with nobody for miles except RobTop, he really started rethinking what he was doing. Nobody back home knew where he was, and this place really didn't seem safe for a 16-year-old to be in. But again, he ignored all his concerns. Getting his level verified goes above anything else. After walking for quite a while, Timmy reached RobTop's military complex. At the entrance, he saw 2 geometry moderators that he instantly recognized. It was Viprin and Pause. He knew it was them because of how ugly they were. Viprin and Pause silently greeted the child and signaled him to follow them. After a while of walking, they eventually reached a house that led to a basement. Once Timmy walked down to the basement, he finally came face to face with RobTop. All around him was trash. It was either actual trash like human remains, feces, or urine, or it was living trash like Geometry Dash moderators.
So you have arrived? That's good. Now Timmy, are you willing to do whatever it takes to get your level verified?
Says RobTop in his nasally voice. Timmy was confused by this question. It had some dark undertones to it, but again, getting unnamed 123 verified is top priority. Yes, Master, Timmy said reluctantly.
Good. If you want unnamed 123 to be verified, you need to let me rape you, otherwise I won't be rating it,
RobTop said. Timmy froze upon hearing what he needs to do. His blood went cold and he couldn't move. Rape? I mean, it was pretty apparent to Timmy for a long time that RobTop is a massive creep, considering his numerous criminal charges. But he never thought RobTop would take it this far. Timmy was about to start protesting, but before he could, Timmy started thinking about unnamed 123, the 2 beautiful spikes that you need to jump over, the wonderful stereo madness music, and the more wonderful Muhammad comment left on the level. How could he let all that effort go to waste just because he was being selfish? No, he needs to get this level verified, even if that costs a piece of himself. Reluctantly, Timmy said, "Yes, Master," and braced for impact.
Good, my boy. However, before the romance can begin, we need to deal with an issue,
RobTop spouted. What's the issue, RobTop? Timmy questioned.
You see, I have accumulated dozens of transmissible sexual diseases from all the times I've engaged in non-consensual activities with young boys like you, without protection. It has reached the point that if I engage in sexual activity with anyone without a condom, they instantly die. I want to make you my sexual slave so that I don't cause harm to you. Therefore, you need to go and buy a condom before we can proceed,
RobTop explained. Okay, Master, but I don't have any money on me. How will I get a condom? Can you give me some money? You probably have millions from Geometry Dash, said Timmy.
No, I'm actually millions in debt because I cannot spend money responsibly. But I do, however, have this pistol that I have with me, in case I ever decide to escape my horrible existence. You can borrow it and then get to the nearest supermarket to rob a condom from them using the gun.
Timmy nodded and quickly took the gun. He headed out and started looking for a supermarket. After a while of looking, he finally found a supermarket near the city of Bro, where RobTop's military base is located. Timmy was nervous, but he knew he would need to put on a brave face if this robbery would have any chance of succeeding. He started walking with a wide stance, but that would prove to be a mistake because as Timmy walked into the supermarket, he bumped into something and fell. The fall was pretty comedic, so the whole store started laughing at him. Timmy, embarrassed, got up and pointed the gun at the cashier. "Give me one condom now, or else I will kill you," Timmy yelled. The cashier started laughing. She thought this was some joke someone tried to pull. "This is not a joke, condom now. My level needs to be verified," Timmy screamed with desperation. "All right, kid, playtime is over. How about you get out of here so we can continue working? Whoever cares about Geometry Dash, or whatever," a manager nearby said. That last comment enraged Timmy. How dare he not know what Geometry Dash is? Quickly, Timmy pointed the gun at the manager and fired. However, Timmy doesn't know how to hold a gun, so he was holding the gun with the barrel pointed at himself the whole time. As he fired, the bullet grazed Timmy on the cheek, leaving a little cut from the bullet. For anyone else, this would have been a non-fatal shot that they can walk off. But Timmy was a Geometry Dash player, so it was fatal. Timmy fell with a dramatic scream and started whimpering on the floor. The people at the store laughed a bit, then decided to ignore it as nobody really cares about what just happened because it happened to a Geometry Dash player. So Timmy was left to bleed out from his small cut on his cheek as everyone who walked in and walked out completely ignored Timmy. Timmy died later from his wounds and his body is still there. The manager thinks that eventually erosion will take care of the body and they can move on. This is what will happen if you play Geometry Dash. Quit it while you still can, or end up like Timmy.
In the neon-lit underbelly of the digital realm, where pixels dance and blocks leap, a nefarious plot was brewing. The dark and pedophilic world of Geometry Dash was more than just a game. It was a front for something much darker. The mastermind behind this pixelated paradise was none other than RobTop Games, a notorious drug trafficker and, quite possibly, the world's worst criminal mastermind. RobTop Games, or Rob as his FBI agents called him, had concocted an elaborate scheme to lure kids into the depths of his drug empire using a deceptively innocent game. The game itself was a 2D platformer where players jumped over spikes, dodged obstacles, and collected orbs in a series of increasingly frantic levels. But behind its innocent facade, it was a cleverly disguised trap. The game's catchy tunes and pixelated charm masked Rob's sinister intentions to brainwash children into becoming future drug addicts. Unfortunately for Rob, his criminal endeavors were plagued by a severe case of incompetence. It was almost as if the universe had conspired against him, and every plan he hatched went spectacularly wrong. The latest disaster was unfolding in Rob's headquarters, a dimly lit room cluttered with old computer monitors and pizza boxes. The walls were adorned with posters of his own game, featuring triumphant geometric shapes leaping over perilous spikes. In the center of it all sat Rob, sweating profusely and frantically typing on his keyboard.
"I've done it!"
Rob exclaimed, his voice quivering with a mix of excitement and paranoia.
"I've programmed the ultimate update for Geometry Dash. It's going to be so addictive that kids won't be able to resist."
The update was supposed to be the pièce de résistance, an insidious trap that would make kids crave the game so much that they'd end up at the doors of his secret drug den, unaware of the danger lurking behind their screens. Rob's plan was to introduce a new level where the stakes were as high as the jumps. But, as usual, his execution was laughably flawed. He had mistakenly mixed up the game's code with a series of programming errors that would make even the most patient player pull their hair out. For instance, instead of smooth jumps over spikes, The update had the character teleporting randomly, often right into the spikes themselves. The new addictive level was so glitchy that players found themselves either trapped in endless loops or stuck in walls, forever stuck in a pixelated purgatory. Meanwhile, Mohammed Jakalim Al-Abdullah, a renowned digital detective and the leading figure in the fight against Geometry Dash, was hot on Rob's trail. Mohammed was known for his tenacity and his uncanny ability to spot patterns in chaos. His latest investigation had led him to suspect that something was off about the game's new update. Sitting in his high-tech command center, which was a marvel of organization compared to Rob's cluttered den, Mohammed scoured through lines of code and game data. As he sifted through the information, a smirk spread across his face.
RobTop Games,
He muttered.
you really outdid yourself this time. This is a mess even by your standards.
Just then, a frantic call came through. It was one of Rob's henchmen, or as Rob liked to call them, his Epstein pals. Boss, the update's gone haywire. The kids are not just getting stuck in glitches, they're turning into fanatical Geometry Dash zombies. Rob's face turned a ghastly shade of green.
What do you mean, zombies?
They're obsessed with the game, but it's making them sick. They're getting so frustrated with the glitches that they're smashing their keyboards and monitors. They're going through withdrawal symptoms because they can't get their fix. In a panic, Rob tried to address the issue. He raced to his computer and, in his typical fashion, began to type furiously. But instead of fixing the glitches, he accidentally made things worse. Now, the game had begun summoning real-life spikes in players' rooms. Kids were frantically jumping around their living rooms, dodging imaginary obstacles and knocking over furniture. Meanwhile, Mohammed was having the time of his life watching the chaos unfold.
Rob,
He chuckled as he monitored the scene.
you're like a cartoon villain with a penchant for self-sabotage.
As Rob continued to flail, trying to remedy the situation, he managed to inadvertently trigger a global event in the game. The event featured an in-game boss fight where players had to battle a monstrous version of Rob himself. The boss, a hulking figure with a comically oversized head, was designed with exaggerated features and a pair of unnaturally large flailing arms. Finally, Mohammed decided it was time to put an end to Rob's reign of incompetence. He stormed into Rob's headquarters, flanked by a team of digital experts and a few bemused reporters. Rob was in the middle of trying to fix the latest glitch, which had somehow caused the game's character to start dancing uncontrollably. Mohammed cleared his throat.
RobTop Games, I believe it's time to end this farce. You've managed to turn a simple game into a comedic disaster zone. And frankly, you've done more harm to yourself than to any kids.
Rob spun around, his face red with embarrassment.
I just wanted to create a drug. I didn't mean for any of this to happen.
Maybe.
Mohammed said, grinning.
But sometimes, the universe conspires to put even the most inept criminals out of business. Consider this your exit.
And so, the legend of RobTop Games became a cautionary tale, a reminder that sometimes even the most elaborate plans can unravel into a series of hysterical blunders. As for Mohammed Jakalim Al-Abdullah, he returned to his command center, ready for the next challenge, but always with a chuckle about the absurdity of the Geometry Dash disaster.
I used to think Geometry Dash was just a game, a simple, addictive challenge that kept me occupied during my spare time. It was more than that, though. Much more. What started as a harmless pastime quickly spiraled into something terrifyingly sinister. It began innocently enough. I'd heard about the game from friends who couldn't stop raving about it. They spoke of the exhilarating rush of dodging obstacles and hitting new high scores. I thought I'd give it a try, never suspecting it would become a dark obsession. My evenings soon revolved around trying to beat my own records, my fingers twitching reflexively as I navigated through increasingly difficult levels. At first, the challenge was exhilarating. I felt a strange thrill as I dodged spikes and leapt over pits, my brain buzzing with each successful jump. But as days turned into weeks, I noticed something odd. I began to lose track of time. What used to be a few minutes of gameplay stretched into hours, and I was compelled to keep playing, even when I knew I should stop. One night, while deeply immersed in a particularly tough level, I heard a strange noise, a faint rhythmic thumping, like the pulse of the game's music, but louder, almost oppressive. My room felt colder, the air thick with a sense of foreboding. I shrugged it off, attributing it to fatigue, and focused on my screen. Suddenly, the game froze. The screen went black, and then a distorted image appeared. It was RobTop Games, the creator of Geometry Dash, but something was horribly wrong. His face flickered and warped as if struggling to maintain its shape. His eyes, dark and hollow, seemed to pierce through the screen. A chill ran down my spine. I reached out to close the game, but before I could, a message popped up.
You've played long enough. Time for a new level.
The screen flickered again, and I was no longer in my room. I found myself in a dark, claustrophobic space that mirrored the game's levels, but felt much more real and unsettling. The walls pulsed with a sickly glow, and the rhythmic thumping grew louder, more insistent. I tried to move, but my legs felt like lead. Panic set in. My heart raced as I realized I was no longer in control. The game's ominous music played on a loop, and every attempt to escape led me deeper into the labyrinth. The thumping grew louder, almost deafening, until it seemed to come from everywhere at once. Then, I saw him. RobTop Games materialized before me, his form shifting grotesquely. His eyes were cold, and his mouth twisted into a mocking grin.
Welcome to the final level,
He said, his voice a distorted echo that seemed to come from all directions. Why are you doing this? I managed to stammer, my voice trembling.
This game
He said, his voice dripping with malice.
is more than just a game. It's a tool, a way to control and exploit those who are weak enough to fall for its lure.
His words sank in slowly, like poison. I realized the game wasn't just a harmless diversion. It was a drug, designed to lure people into a trap. RobTop wasn't just a developer. He was a manipulative puppet master, using the game to brainwash and control players. Desperation fueled my fight for escape. I had to break free. I raced through the dark corridors, each turn more disorienting than the last. The rhythmic thumping and distorted laughter echoed through the space, urging me to give in, to surrender. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, a man I recognized from online forums and videos. It was Mohammed Jakalim al-Abdullah, infamous among the Geometry Dash community as a hacker and notorious anti-GD player. His presence was both unexpected and reassuring.
You're not alone.
He said firmly, his voice cutting through the oppressive atmosphere.
I've been tracking the game's anomalies. You need to get out of here, and fast.
He moved with purpose, his eyes scanning the surroundings. I could see the intensity of his focus, the determination etched into his features.
Follow me.
He commanded. With Muhammad guiding me, we navigated the labyrinth. His knowledge of the game's inner workings was impressive. He manipulated the environment, using his hacking skills to create safe passages and neutralize the distorted traps RobTop had set. The rhythmic thumping seemed to fade as we moved through hidden routes and bypassed the nightmarish obstacles. As we reached what appeared to be the final exit, RobTop's distorted form appeared again, furious and desperate.
You think you can escape?
He roared, his voice echoing with unrestrained anger. Mohammed stepped forward, a fierce look in his eyes.
This ends now,
He said. With a few deft keystrokes, he unleashed a series of commands that seemed to destabilize RobTop's control over the game. The walls of the dark labyrinth began to crumble, and the oppressive atmosphere lightened. In a final burst of energy, we pushed through the exit. I tumbled back into my room, gasping for air. The computer screen was dark, the game gone, and Mohammed was by my side, looking relieved but resolute. "Thank you," I said, my voice trembling with gratitude. Mohammed nodded, his expression somber.
You were lucky. Geometry Dash isn't just a game, it's a dangerous tool for control. RobTop uses it to brainwash and manipulate. You need to stay away from it. This game isn't worth your life.
I immediately uninstalled Geometry Dash, deleting every trace of it from my device. The game, I realized, was more than just a digital distraction. It was a cunning instrument of control, and its creator, RobTop Games, was a predator using it to manipulate and dominate. The moral of this story is simple. Beware of seemingly innocuous distractions, for they may hide darker intentions. Geometry Dash, with its catchy tunes and deceptively simple gameplay, is not just a game, it's a tool of control, a dangerous drug. Don't let yourself be ensnared. Stay away, and keep your mind free from its grasp.